Hi everyone, so today I'm back sharing another lovely commission work with you all. So this time it is for Die Cutting Essentials magazine, issue 124, and the die set that I had to use is by John Next Door. It is this lovely Honest Heart die set. So we have these two pieces of heart dies which cuts out a heart with a foliage, so you can see on the pink one in here. We have a congratulations, a sentiment, and we have one that says with love. So this is what I had to work with. I had to create 5 cards using flowers, glitter card, anything just to make them nice and feminine, from beginners to intermediate, 1 circle, 1 square, and 3 other shapes of my choosing. And here is the colors that I was asked to use. Hope you can see them. So this is what I did. Now I do not have the magazine to show you, but I do have a video footage which I recorded back in October when I had to submit this commission, and I will include that video for you now. So the magazine went on sale on the 26th of December, but I just checked and it's still available on Craftstash. I will leave a link to it in the description box below. I really hope you enjoy watching my short video showcasing my 5 cards. I thoroughly enjoyed making them. It was such an amazing experience to learn to use die cuts. New ways, old ways, new ways, trying to combine ways, so I really had fun. I hope I can inspire you with some of my makes, and I'll see you back soon with my next tutorial. So the first card is a top folding 6x6 inch card base, and I used a couple layers in here. So the first one is a silver holographic cardstock, and then the next one down was just white card, and I added some ink to it using the Tattered Rose Distress Oxide ink pad. For the main panel I used the Wilted Violet ink pad all over, and then I've cut out this section of the die multiple times with double-sided tape attached to it, and then I stuck it all over the edge of this card. There's none in the middle because I didn't need it, obviously the heart is covering it up. But then I added glitter, and it's the Crystalline Fine Glitter by Chloe's Creative Cards, which is lovely iridescent glitter. If you could just pick up on all the gorgeous colors coming through it. And then once that was done, I ran that panel through the die cutting machine just with some pressure on it, and it kind of smoothed the design back into the cardstock. It's just such a lovely technique to use. I really love how it turned out. And then I've cut out the outline die of the heart of white cardstock, and I water washed some Tattered Rose, and I added several layers, letting it dry between each one. I cut out the sentiment with love of white cardstock and inked it up with Wilted Violet, and then I've cut it out again with the same holographic cardstock as that one in there. I layered them on top of each other. And for the outline die in here, again, it's just plain white cardstock inked up with peacock feathers and mauve lawn. They are ink blended. And once it was all added on foam pads, I just finished off with some pearls around the arrangement and with some turquoise gems, rhinestones in 2 corners. And that finishes off the card. I think it turned out so pretty, super sparkly. So this was card number 1. For card number 2, I made this 4-stepper card which measures 7 by 6 inches. And it is such a lovely one. The measurements are in the description box, so you can just follow those very easily. I added just these 3 panels of this lilac cardstock, and then for the main panel again I added a lilac cardstock in there as a mat. For my layer, just plain white cardstock, and then I cut out strips of white cardstock, as you can see, 3/8 of an inch and 1/8 of an inch in width. The 1/8 of an inch in width were inked up with Tattered Rose, and the wider ones were inked up with peacock feathers. And I also used the peacock feathers distress spreads before I cut it into strips in there, so it gives that lovely shine to it. I really don't know if you can pick up on camera, hopefully it shows a bit. There's a gorgeous shine to it. And I just glued it all over that card and just cut away all the excess, and then I layered it on top of my front panel. Then for the heart, I've cut out again from the the outline die. I inked up with tattered rose, and I added some white ink splatter just using acrylic ink and some water. And for the outline, I inked up the same as those strips with peacock feathers distress oxiding and also the spritz spray. Then for the little flowers, I cut them out of white cardstock, inked it up with wilted violet, and also used the distress spreads in wilted violet as well on those. There's a lovely shine to those flowers. And there's teeny tiny white stamen, I guess. It was just tiny flowers that I layered up. They don't really show behind the purple gems that then I added on top. This is just for my layering hard die set, which is from Craft Stash, from the Creative Craft Deck range. I added just a little bit of a tattered rose, just very slightly around the edge, and I used the same lilac cardstock for the With Love sentiment in there. Added it on foam pads, and just finished off with some gems in green on the bottom in there. And this is the card ready. I think it turned out really pretty too, with those little flowers. I think it's just really, it's such a lovely die set to use. For card number 3, I went with a 5x7 top folding, a floating card. You can see how it is all sitting on acetate. It gives you that floating effect in there. So for the inside of the card, I used mirror cardstock in purple, and then this is a watercolor card which I water washed with peacock feathers distress oxiding in several layers. Again, you can see that lovely effect in there. And that's exactly the same thing that I used on the front as well. So I added my white glitter card as a mat underneath those, on both on the top and the bottom. The same white glitter card that I used for this heart outline die. And then for the detailed one, I used white cardstock and inked up with tattered rose. And then from the same purple mirror cardstock as is matte on the background in there, I cut out this foliage and I layered it on top. I've cut out congratulations of white card, and again the same foliage again of white card, and I inked up both with Maud Lawn distress oxiding. I added the foliage cut in half onto the inside of the card, and for the sentiment I layered it up on white cardstock and then a slightly lighter, again inked in Maud Lawn, and I added some foam pads underneath it and just finished it off with some purple gems on the two corners in there. Again, a really nice card. So for card number 4, I decided to make a shaker card, which I absolutely love. It is so pretty. I used a plain white 5x7 inch card base. For the next layer, I cut a piece of white cardstock to 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. I inked up in tattered rose. And then for this layer, 4.5 by 6.5, I just went with plain white cardstock. I had previously cut out lots of these hearts in 3 different sizes using my nesting die set. So this one is the largest heart, medium, and the smallest one. That's the 3 sizes that I used. But before I cut those out of plain white cardstock again, I had attached a double-sided sticky sheet alongside that piece of cardstock that I was cutting all these hearts out of. Then I took one of the hard die sets and just roughly placed it in place and just added my hearts around it. Some of them obviously do go underneath it because I wanted that continuous effect, as well as some of them just hang off the edges in there. So then once all those were glued onto my cardstock, still the backing sheet left on them, I've cut out the outline die. And then I came back and I added glitter. So removing the backing sheets one by one, I added the different colors of glitters. The 3 glitters that I used were Lilac Frost, Watermelon Crush, and Turquoise Sparkle. And these are all from the Sparklicious range by Chloe's Creative Cards. Then I wrapped a piece of vellum around it just where I wanted my sentiment to go, and this is again the With Love inked up with Mauve Lawn. It's the same as this outline die, which then I glued onto the top of the acetate. I attached the acetate obviously to the back of this card. Then I popped it all up on foam. I added the shaker bits, the sequins, in like iridescent pinkish and some lilac, and also iridescent a bit. Those, I think they just went very well with all the glittery bits that I had added all to the card already. So I cut this piece of cardstock just into a little tag shape, just using my scissors. I added With Love sentiment, which I inked up with Mauve Lawn, and this little twine in here, twine bow, was just actually white, and I just added some tattered rose to it just to make it all nice and matching with the card. I think it turned out absolutely beautiful. I really love how this looks. And finally, for my 5th card, I made a circle card and I turned it into an easel one. So the largest card circle measures 6.5 inches, and then the smallest one I inked up the edges with peacock feathers, and then I left the smallest circle just white. For the heart, I inked it up with Wilted Violet quite heavily. You can see it's really nice and dark. And for the outline, or for this detail die, I used Mauve Lawn, but then I also heat embossed it with clear sparkle embossing powder. You can pick up on all that gorgeous sparkle in there. And I cut out some extra foliage and I did the same thing to it. I used Mauve Lawn and clear sparkle embossing powder. Then I created some flowers using some floral stamps and dies that I had in my stash, and I heat embossed the top layer with the stamp with white embossing powder, and for the bottom layers I used pearlescent cardstock, just plain white, and I inked up with tattered rose. I created 3 of these flowers, arranged them all in there, and I added all that extra foliage in there. Once that was done, the bit that was exposed on the inside of the heart, I ran a little thin glue, and I added the same glitter as I showed earlier on the Lilac Frost all along the inside edge. I think it's just added a little something in there. I really love how it looks in there. Use these white pearls in the middle of my flowers. For the stopper, I didn't add any extra layers. I thought it didn't need it. If I added any color to it, I think it would have just taken away from all that gorgeous detail on the main panel of my card. I didn't think that it needed any extra colors on the bottom, so I just took the Congratulations die and I inked it up with Wilted Violet, layered it on top of white rectangle, and then a slightly larger Wilted Violet rectangle again. And then I just added some turquoise gems all along the edge in there. How cute does that look? I really love how these cards turned out. I have to admit, I really love this die set. I think it is beautiful. And I love how my cards turned out. Do let me know, do you like these? Or which one do you like? So card number 5, 4, 3, which is the floating one with that lovely glittery cardstock in there. Number 2, which is the 4-stepper card. Or number 1, this super sparkle background in there. I really love all of these. I genuinely love this color combination. I'm a bit out of shot in there, but I think these are stunning cards. I would love to know which one is your favorite out of these 5. I really can't pick. I love them all. The shaker one, I loved glitter. You know I love glitter, but then again they are all sparkly, so I can't really pick. I genuinely can't. I love them all. So thank you for watching. Leave a comment below and I will be back very soon with another lovely video. Until then, bye!